New Year in the wild snow-capped mountain. I found an 85-year-old woman living alone. The road ended long before my courage did. Snow swallowed the narrow trail, and my vehicle could go no farther. The engine died into silence, leaving only the sound of wind cutting through pine trees like a low, restless whistle. It was the last evening of the year, and the sun was already sinking behind the mountains, painting the sky in shades of pale orange and bruised purple. I had come here to escape noise, screens, and people, to spend New Year's Eve as far from civilization as possible. I didn't know then that this journey would change the way I understood loneliness, strength, and time itself. With a backpack slung over my shoulder and boots crunching against frozen snow, I walked deeper into the wild. The air was sharp, biting my lungs with every breath. This place felt forgotten by the modern world. No power lines, no signal bars on my phone, no distant hum of traffic. Just mountains, trees, and silence so deep it felt alive. That's when I saw the house. At first, it looked like a shadow, a crooked shape pressed against the slope of the mountain. As I moved closer, details emerged: a small wooden cabin, dark with age, its roof heavy with snow. Smoke rose gently from a stone chimney. Someone was here. Someone was living here. I hesitated. The idea of meeting a stranger in such a remote place was unsettling. But curiosity, and concern, pulled me forward. I knocked on the door, my gloved hand echoing softly against the wood. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then I heard slow footsteps. The door creaked open, and there she stood. She was small, wrapped in layers of worn wool and a thick shawl. Her hair was silver white, tied loosely behind her head. Her face was deeply lined, but her eyes, clear, sharp, and startlingly alive, studied me without fear. "Yes?" she asked calmly. I introduced myself, explaining that I was hiking and had seen smoke from her chimney. I half expected suspicion, maybe even anger. Instead, she smiled faintly. "It's cold," she said. "You should come inside." The cabin was warm, lit by the soft glow of an oil lamp and the steady fire in a stone hearth. The smell of burning wood and dried herbs filled the air. The furniture was simple. A wooden table, 2 chairs, a narrow bed, shelves lined with jars and old books. Everything had a place. Everything had a purpose. She poured hot tea into a chipped cup and placed it in my hands. "My name is Eliza," she said, sitting across from me. "I am 85 years old." The words hit me harder than the cold outside. 85. Living here. Alone. As the wind howled outside and snow tapped against the small window, she began to talk. She had been born in a village many miles away, back when roads were dirt and winters claimed lives as easily as they claimed crops. She married young, as people did then, to a man who loved the mountains as much as she did. Together, they built this cabin with their own hands. They planned to grow old here, listening to the same wind, watching the same stars. But life, she said softly, does not ask for permission before it changes. Her husband died decades ago, taken by illness in a winter not unlike this one. Her children moved away, to cities, to lives filled with jobs, deadlines, and noise. At first, she visited them. Then the trips became fewer. Then they stopped. "Not because they don't love me," she said, as if reading my thoughts. "But because life moves fast. And I move slow." So she stayed. She learned to live with the land instead of against it. She gathered herbs in summer, dried them for winter. She stored firewood, fixed her roof, fetched water from a frozen stream. Every task took longer now, but she did them with patience, the kind only time can teach. "Are you not afraid?" I asked. "Being alone out here?" She looked at the fire for a long moment. "I was afraid when I lived among people," she said finally. "Out here, I know my fears. Wolves, storms, sickness. They are honest dangers. Loneliness, that depends on how you listen to silence. As midnight approached, she prepared a simple meal: potatoes, dried meat, bread baked days earlier. We ate slowly, savoring warmth more than taste. Outside, the year was dying quietly, unnoticed by fireworks or countdowns. I asked her if New Year meant anything to her anymore. She smiled. "Every morning I wake up is a new year," she said. "People think time is made of dates. It's not. It's made of moments you survive." When the clock, an old wind-up one on the wall, clicked toward midnight, the world outside was still. No cheers. No explosions. Just snow falling endlessly. At exactly 12, she stood, opened the cabin door, and stepped outside. I followed. The sky above us was breathtaking. Thousands of stars burned cold and bright, untouched by city lights. The mountains stood like ancient guardians, silent witnesses to centuries of human lives coming and going. She closed her eyes, breathed deeply, and whispered something I couldn't hear. "For my husband," she said quietly. "For those who didn't make it. And for another year I have been given." There was no sadness in her voice. Only gratitude. We stood there together, two strangers bound by a single moment at the edge of time. Later, as I prepared to leave before the weather worsened, she pressed something into my hand, a small, hand-carved wooden charm. "So you remember," she said. "Remember what?" I asked. "That living alone is not the same as being forgotten." I walked back into the wilderness with heavier thoughts and a lighter heart. The mountains no longer felt empty. They felt full, of stories, of endurance, of quiet strength the modern world rarely sees. As dawn approached and the new year began, I realized something uncomfortable and true. We build cities to avoid silence. We fill our lives with noise so we don't have to listen to ourselves. And yet, an 85-year-old woman, far from civilization, had found peace where most of us would only see fear. Somewhere behind me, a thin line of smoke rose into the pale morning sky. And I knew that as long as it did, the world was not as lonely as it seemed.